All right. Oh, 1 second. Okay. Get that. Save changes. Here we go. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Jenny Wise here from WiseMind Soul Warrior. And I have Carrie Myers on with us. She is one of our beautiful WiseMind Soul Warrior students. And she has been with us over the past couple of years, and she is now a mentor. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself and also share how we connected and what kind of brought her to Wise Mind Soul Warrior, to the training. And I would love to know if you want to share a little bit about your personal yoga journey and what brought you to yoga.
Okay. So I'm Carrie Myers, and I am a former yoga studio owner. My studio was Inspired Change Yoga, and we closed because of COVID. A blessing and a curse, but I do miss my people, very much so. Um, I started yoga off and on at a gym, and one day decided to take yoga teacher training when I started to actually go to studios. And that was in 2014. And I have been teaching since then. So I finished up my teacher training in 2015 and opened my studio in July of 2015, and have now pivoted to teach some. I teach randomly goat yogas and all that, and then right now I'm teaching at a charter school, and I'm teaching their sixth graders my self program, which is Spirit Empowerment and Love Foundations, and so it's all about yoga and meditation and journaling. So that is my one of my big projects that I'm doing right now. So.
Awesome. Well, it's really interesting. How we connected also is that, I don't know if you remember this, but in 2020, I got onto an IG Live.
Uh-huh.
And that's how we connected, which
Right.
is really, really interesting because I don't do a lot of Facebook Lives. And like just the fact that you were on at the exact time and you happened to see the feed, which again is like a huge universe God thing, that we even connected, right? Because you're in Asheville, I'm in Raleigh. We had never connected. We had never met before that. And that was, I think it was like September 2020-ish, around that time.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. And you were also in your transition of moving out of the studio, which I get goosebumps. I'm literally getting goosebumps just talking about this because you and I have that in common also, right? That we were both studio owners. We both transitioned out of COVID and letting go of our studio,
Yes.
and going through that process of letting go and then creating space for whatever the next chapter of your dharma and your purpose is, which is what part of the many things that you birthed from that releasing was the self program.
Yes. Yes.
So that is just like, again, only God could and universe could put those dots together, that you're now
Right.
here in the training and you're now going to be a mentor with us, and all the things that you're working on now that again you would not have the space for if you still own the studio.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
And what that was like going through that transition of like, you didn't know everything, what was going to happen, right? But you knew that you had to like release things and get through that process and healing, allowing yourself time to heal and like transition. So then you were ready to birth whatever these next things were for you. And
Right.
so tell me the other, remind me of the other program you have. Is it Rewild? Is that what
Yes.
it is? Yeah.
Rewild Women's Circle,
Okay,
which is again about yoga and meditation and journaling. And it is more like coming back to yourself, after motherhood. Not, you're never after motherhood, but, when you have raised your kids and
Mhm.
you've done all the things that you should do, and
Mhm.
now you are in that place, what's next? And so it's helping women to come back into what they're really meant to do.
Mhm.
Just reminding people that what they do is important too.
Yeah. Well, I am so, so grateful like to have you as part of the group and have you be part of the training and be a mentor and really like not just a teacher and a student, but truly like a soul sister and a friend. Like I'm so, so grateful to have you be
Uh,
part of it and someone who's, a sounding board for me and somebody I trust and I care about. And so really I just want to say that I genuinely am so grateful for our friendship and being peers, right? Having somebody that you can really like truly relate to. And the fact that we both were, studio owners, we have that in common. And, what this journey of yoga, has been like, which we have a lot of parallels with all of that too.
yes, we do.
So, so tell us as far as, what were some of the things like when you were thinking about taking the training, like what were some things that like attracted you to it? Like what was something that was kind of pulling you towards the training? Was it specific around psychology or like what was it that kind of pulled you towards it?
Well, in 2020, my phrase for the year was letting go or let go.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to let go of a lot of things, but I was intentional about letting go of some emotional trauma that I'd been through. And when I found this program and the psychology piece of it, it really hit home with being in alignment with letting go.
Mm-hmm.
I had to let go of my studio, and so it helped me with that grieving process of letting go of the studio, and
Mm-hmm.
just awakened me to different methods and helped me deepen my meditation practice, which I was struggling with, and
Mm-hmm.
really pulling me back into the whole reason that yoga lit me up so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
and I remember like meeting you in October of 2020 when we did our first retreat at the War and Peaceland Farms in Raleigh.
right.
And that was the first time we were able to connect in person. But I can see like watching you the transition that you made from that to even when I saw you last summer in Asheville, and then seeing you again in January here. Like I can see like watching, you know what I mean, the transition that's happened.
Yeah, the
And that,
healing, the
yeah.
calmness, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's been quite a journey, and I do feel so grateful for the program and for you, Jenny, because it has really made a difference um, in who I am today, as
Hmm.
opposed to who I was at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah. Well, I'm truly honored. Really, I'm grateful to be here for your journey and everybody else. So tell me, as far as some of the things that you have seen, like specifically, like are there certain samskara patterns, certain emotion behavior patterns, like that you've seen transition? It could be your inner critic voice, you know. I know you've named her. Like tell me, and then also tell me like um let's start with that, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Asheville retreat.
So my inner critic voice, she's very loud. And I did name her. I named her Agatha, so I can be like, enough, Agatha. I knew it had to be like a really solid old name because I had a vision of her. But anyway, she's very loud, and and I still am struggling with keeping her quiet. But sometimes she has, some pretty good wisdom to share with me. Um, Another huge thing, of course, which I let go of in the Asheville retreat, was the imposter syndrome. Because I'm always like, do I know enough, and do I have enough education? Do I have enough
Mhm.
anything? Am I like, who am I to think I can teach people how to come back into themselves and learn
Mhm.
yoga and meditation? So that was a huge thing to let go of, is that
Yeah.
imposter, and imposter syndrome, and that inner voice are very, very correlated.
Mhm. Of who
So
do you think you are? Yeah, to be able to step into like leadership, like you said, or be able to lead anything,
right.
or use your voice, speak your truth. Like, yeah. the little like, who do you think you are? Um, and it was so like amazing to stand back and watch all that. Like the fire transformation. I was talking to Chrissy about this yesterday. Like just for me to stand back and watch that was as life changing for me as it was for everybody else. Like I was so proud of you guys. Like it's like a mama bear, like watching, it's just like, like, yes, like you just want to be like, like I just wanted to, because it was just so like, again, like such a privilege to like stand back and watch you guys. Cause it was like everybody went, everybody read their letter. It was just,
Powerful.
it was very powerful. And each and every one of you, like I was so proud because you showed up for yourself and you showed up for everybody else in the group. It's like every person one by one,
Right.
stepped up. Even if they were feeling uncomfortable, they went outside their comfort zone and they were really wanting to like release and let go of that emotion or that pattern or that thing or that person that they
And
could
it made us feel like, yes, I want to do that too. And I want to, oh, I have that to release. And like, let me keep that list so I can work through whatever they've just released. So that's very powerful to bring everybody together also.
Yes. And just like the symbolism of the fire, and the transformation and the alchemy that happens, with the power of fire. That makes
Right.
sense. So,
Yes.
um, so we definitely will be doing that again in October, and we'll be doing that actually. Found out I can get a fire ring at Lake Junaluska. So we'll be doing it. The intention is to do it at both places. We'll be doing a fire transformation ceremony at both places.
Yes.
So, um, so tell us a little bit. You mentioned meditation. Are there any other kind of like life skills that come to mind that you've integrated in, like based on what you've learned in the training? Anything else that you can think of in addition to meditation? Maybe it's stress resilience or, something else that you feel has resonated for you that you're kind of using on a daily basis, if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. Um, of course, the meditation has helped me to have some inner calm.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and one of the other things is that's been very powerful for me is nobody can make you feel anyway, and I can't make anybody do anything. Like I knew that, but to live it now
mm-hmm,
is a whole different. It totally shifted things for me. Um,
mm-hmm,
people are going to do what they need to do and what they want to do, and all I can do is take care of myself,
mm-hmm,
and and I don't have to feel any certain way. Like I can feel what I need to, and then I can let it go, and I don't
mm-hmm.
have to stay in that place.
Right.
And then the meditation helps that too, and of
Mm-hmm,
course in the yoga practice helps
mm-hmm,
that, and imagining releasing when you're in, say, pigeon pose or something like that. Just
mm-hmm.
imagine all those emotions seeping out and just letting that go.
And releasing it. Yeah. I love that. I love to hear that you're creating like that pause between stimulus and response.
Hmm.
And a big part of that is retraining the brain with meditation and breath work and yoga. So I love to hear that you're doing that. And also like the empowerment piece of like being empowered, that you're not giving your power away anymore, right? You're
Right.
not giving your power away as far as somebody else's behavior affecting your calm and your peace,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Correct.
And
And
that
things
is
like
huge.
driving, right? Things like driving and somebody cuts you off and you're like, okay, I don't know their story and where they need to be and what's happened for them this morning. And it's not them just being a jerk or whatever,
Yeah.
uh, and reframing like what's going on in their head. And maybe they're upset
Mhm.
about something or anything like that. And just giving other people the space to be what they need to be at the moment.
Right. And just having like a different lens, right? A different perspective and
Correct.
lens, or how you see the world, right? Um, so as far as the the learning management system and kind of our framework of how, like, I'm in the group. Usually I try to be once a week, not every single week, but almost every week as much as I can, meeting with you guys and teaching in the group. Um, and then some of the other pieces to the training around like the manual and the syllabus and like the ease of use. Can you share a little bit about kind of like the framework of the training and what that's been like for you?
Yes. It's very easy to use, and you just kind of like roll with it as it's in the system.
Hmm.
And having those yoga practices or the breath work to come back to, or the meditations to come back to at any point, if it, especially one that really resonates with you and that you get a deep. Sometimes I get a like a profound thought, which helps me journal that also.
Hmm.
And just having this space also to do it as I can, that I don't have to show up, in a classroom on a certain day at a certain time, and, um, just block out days on end, and I can, do one session here and another session later, and it just makes it really easy and, moldable into my lifestyle, into
Hmm.
what's going on. So,
Yeah, especially for those of us that are moms.
yes.
Balancing that in addition to everything else we might have going on in life, running a business, being a wife, being a partner, whatever it is, if you're in corporate, like balancing all these different things, that it makes it a lot easier to be able to go through the program the way it's set up. Because it
Yes.
gives you the accountability and you've got the support system, but then you also have the freedom of like the self-paced as well, if that makes sense. It's kind of a blend. And then in addition to that, I kind of been creating this hybrid of these immersions and the retreats that are not required for your certification, but they're meant to enhance the experience of the training, that you guys can make these connections, meet
Yes.
each other in person, be able to connect with me, get the experience of teaching live, all of that, right? So again, we'll be having two retreats in 2022. So in
Just
Asheville.
the abundance of meeting new people and making new friends, and holding each other accountable. Like if you're stressing out because you feel like you're behind, you check in with everybody else and they're like, "No, it's okay. I'm kind of behind myself." And
Yeah.
we push each other to stay on task.
Right. And also this year, we also, Carrie will be a mentor. We have other students on the team. There'll be a mentors. So you'll have a check in there with accountability. And in addition, we'll have a peer group. So you're going to have lots of support as far as being able to not feel like you're on your own. And we want to try to set up almost like a buddy system also.
Right.
So as far as the the consult, right? So here we are, right? There's people out there that are going to watch the replay for this or that are listening, and they're like, I'm real, they're feeling uncomfortable. Like, I don't want to get on a call with Jenny. Um, so if you can kind of talk about what is like the yoga psychology discovery call, in a nutshell, for me, I see it as like talking to people about what they're struggling with, what are some things they're looking to solve, whether it's mental health struggles or a
Excuse
behavior
me.
change. Where do they want to go? And is there a program, whether it's yoga teacher training or another self-paced program, that might help support them? It's more like a customized consultation. So share what your experience was with me and getting on a consultation and what that was like.
I mean, Jenny, you're so warm and welcoming and open, and listened to like where I was and what I was looking for. Of course, I'm working toward my additional 300-hour yoga certification, but I think this program is for anybody who just wants to work on themselves and dive deeper into who they are and who they're meant to be. In addition to healing some childhood wounds, and maybe not even childhood wounds, but current wounds,
Mhm.
and just discovering like why we are who we are at this point in our life. And I mean, I've had a lot of little epiphanies along the way, but when that first consult, you made me feel comfortable and welcome and heard. And I
Mhm.
was like, okay, sign me up. I am ready for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, over
Yeah.
the past 2 years, I have really expanded my
Mhm.
my spiritual practice,
Mhm.
along with so much excavation of things that I didn't even know I was carrying around still.
Mhm.
And you've definitely helped me do so much of that.
No. Well, I'm grateful to be here to hold space for you. And that makes me feel really good to know that you felt seen and heard, and always want to validate how people are feeling, and give them that sense of validation and give them that sense of support, unconditional love, without judgment.
Right.
And I remember, like, one of the students I had, when she was sharing about like our interactions, and she basically said that she has never felt in as a safe of a place or without judgment than she had with the interactions that we've had, that she never has encountered that level of non-judgment. And I can tell you, I really believe like that is part of like the experience of yoga, and also learning to not judge myself, and
Right.
that transformation that's happened, that I've let go of the judgment of myself. And so that allows me to be open and non-judgmental and compassionate with other people. Does that mean that you're never going to be, a judgmental thought is never going to come into your mind? No. But what I can say is 90 to 95% of the time, you are able to control that you're not judging yourself, and judgmental thoughts are no longer coming up about other people.
Right.
So that
And
natural,
just recognizing that you're in that space and you're like, oh, I don't want to be in that space. Like, I don't want to be that person to sit
right,
back and judge everyone.
right. And to,
That's another thing about the retreat that we had in Asheville is that I mean, I've been in so many trainings and lots of people, like 230 people or something at a time. But this group is not judgmental, and it felt just like a warm hug, just coming in with everybody. And
yeah.
that's another thing. I think that you attract people who are in a space, who are ready to become this, that person
Mhm,
of not judgmental, and who's just ready to be authentic. And
mhm,
that really shows up when this group gets together.
mhm. No, absolutely. I am so, I say this all the time, and I'm sure I'll say it again. I'm so grateful for the group of women that we have. And that is another reason why we do the consultations, is also to make sure that the students that are coming are ready, and that they're going to blend in with the students that we have,
Right.
and they're ready to make a transformation, and they're in the place of know, in a place of non-judgment. We are definitely drama free, right?
Right.
We are not about drama. So we want to create a space that is supportive, and definitely supporting other women, and we all have each other's backs, and
Absolutely.
we want to continue to build on that in the beautiful group that we've created. And so that's another reason why we do the consultations that we do.
Yes.
In addition to that, we also do talk about different payment plans and all of that, like financially. So if we have a conversation and it's a fit, and that person does want to join, that's definitely an area I don't want people to get held up on.
Right.
So I will try my very best. And I have worked with many women in all the programs I run, including this program, to try to come up with customized ways that they can make this investment that works for them based on where they are in their financial journey. So I want to make sure I bring that up, that I have done many, many customized like payment plans and different things. Like if that person's ready and they're ready to step into this, and they want to do the healing work, and they want to change, and that energy is there, and
Yes.
that commitment level is there, then we will figure the other stuff out.
Right.
Okay. So I want to make sure that I say that, because it's important. If somebody's like, oh, and they're scared, it's a conversation.
Right.
That's all it is. It's
Right.
a conversation. Right. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
just
just like,
jumping with both feet.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll just it out, right?
there is no obligation. You're not going to get pressure from me because I only want people in the program that are ready for the program.
Right.
Right. I want the people, like you just said. That's why we've attracted the women that we have, because they're ready. They were ready to make a change. Many of them had done a lot of their own healing and their own journey coming up to that point. So they were ready to step into the next level to go deeper, if that makes sense. Like many of them had maybe started a meditation practice, or maybe they've done talk therapy, or maybe they've done other programs, and they just needed to go deeper into their transformation and healing. Right? Because they've worked on themselves, but they wanted to get to that next level. Or maybe they were struggling with anxiety or depression and they really wanted to go deeper into figuring out some of these skills to lessen the symptoms of that. Or maybe it's stress or overwhelm or burnout, or many it's perfectionism or a loud inner critic voice, right? The things that we just talked about.
Right.
Being workaholic, like there's so many different reasons, but many of the women that we've brought in do struggle with these things, including myself, with being a recovering perfectionist and workaholic and emotion mind and stress and people pleaser and self-sabotage and judgment and imposter syndrome and master inner critic of never doing enough. I've had all the things.
Right.
Okay. About every distraction that you can imagine, right? To me, not to have to feel the feelings, right? To distract myself from processing the wounds and the trauma and the healing that I needed to do.
Right.
Until about 10 years ago, I had tried every single one of them. Emotional eating, right? At certain times it was alcohol. That was more in college, right? So thank God it was never like getting to the point being an alcoholic myself, but I definitely had used that as a coping skill in multiple times of my life as a numbing mechanism, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So, and it's interesting because there is a trauma for some people, and I can't speak to everyone, but for me personally, around like the trauma of overachievement, that this just recently came to light for me. And so that's about the healing journey is a lifelong journey, right? The inner work, the soul work that we do is a lifelong journey. And healing is not linear.
Right.
And this article, right?
Like a ping pong game.
Yeah, and you were on that call that we did in the training where I got emotional just teaching it to you guys, because that article about the trauma of overachievement was literally like, that article was talking right to me. Like, I feel like that person was like sitting there having a conversation exactly to me. And that was really about, and I know you can relate to this, it was really about needing validation and my sense of being enough, being good enough.
Right.
And basing my self-worth on what I did and my performance.
And the moment for me was realizing that I'm a people pleaser. What?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of hit me like a 10-pound hammer. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've done this all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And which is one thing that perpetuated the book that I'm working on writing, is that moment that you say, I have always stepped back and made myself small so other people can have their glory.
Mm-hmm.
That moment I realized that, it was like, wow. Because I've always thought I'm independent and I'm strong and I'm, this, that, and the other, and just do my own thing. And I do, but I also bend and mold myself to be a people pleaser. Didn't know how to say no. I'm getting better at that. Just all these things that this program has shined light on for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am right there with you. I definitely can relate to the people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes way back to my childhood of how I grew up and being the peacemaker in the family, or trying to be the peacemaker and going back and forth between trying to be the peacemaker and trying to get my own emotional needs met, and going back and forth between those things.
Right.
And oftentimes sacrificing my own peace and wellness to be the peacemaker and the people pleaser.
Right.
but I was sacrificing my own happiness and wellness, if that makes sense, to be that people pleaser and peacemaker.
Yes,
And I know you can relate to that.
I definitely can.
Yeah. So I'm putting this in the comments that your book that's going to be coming out is called Soul Confetti,
Mhm.
right?
It is.
And that is that's going to be a book of poems. Is that right? If you want to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the book is called Soul Confetti, Celebrating Life's Lessons. And it is literally 40 years of my life, and literally my heart just opened there in the words, and all the poetry I've written over my life. And hopefully it's just the first book of poetry.
Mhm.
And hopefully it'll be coming out in the next month at the latest. So it's being printed at this time.
That's so exciting.
So it is so exciting.
So exciting. Now you tell me again, the subtitle is, what was it again? Celebrating
Life's lessons.
life's lessons. And this will be coming out in probably, I want to say in February.
I would think so.
I'm going to
Yes.
say February, March. Is it available on Amazon? Will it be on like,
Yeah,
okay.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, a lot of local bookstores in the Asheville area will have it, and I'm waiting on email back to get a more clarity on that. But it will definitely be on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
Okay, I'm putting that in there. So that is like super, super exciting. Um, that you are, well, you already are an author because I know you already published a poem, but I mean, as far as your own, your own individual book, like that's amazing. Like
This is
that,
all me. Yeah.
yeah.
And then we're working on a collaborative book, which Jenny's a part of also. And that one is called Soul Shine. It's funny that things happen to be all about the soul, even like the WiseMind Soul Warrior piece, which
Mhm.
says a lot about my journey, is really excavating my soul. But the Soul Shine book is a collaborative book, and we're still looking for ladies that want to share their story. And it's a story about how we've dulled our shine all these years, and the moment that we realized it, and then what we have done to what we have done to heal from it, and how we are now shining from our hearts and souls.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored. I cannot wait to be part of that process with you and anyone else. I know that you still have spots available for that. So I'm putting that in the comments. So feel free to reach out to me or to Carrie. I'd be more than glad if you guys see this, you want me to connect you to Carrie, or you can reach out to Carrie directly.
Right.
But let me just write that in here again.
Yeah, I really think what I'm hoping it will do is allow women to see how much more alike we are than different, that we
Mhm.
all go through the same struggles, and that
Mhm.
self-doubt that is in our head, and so much more. And just bring
Mhm.
bring us together as women to support each other, and you know, stop pointing fingers and really taking control of who we are.
Mhm. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. You know that I'm all about like women empowerment and lifting each other up and supporting each other. That we certainly do enough of like the judgment and the comparison, and we need to stop doing that as women. We need to support each other and hold each other up and hold space for each other now more than ever. Like
Absolutely.
if everything else is going on in the world, like we need each other like now more than ever.
Yeah.
And we need that connection, and we need to be able to support each other. So I am so grateful again for you as a soul sister, for everybody else who's part of this group and part of this community. You're continuing to grow your community with what you're doing with Soul Shine and some of the other programs that you're running, like the Rewild and the self program that you're doing with kids, and trying to teach all of that with the inner critic and some of these other things that you're integrating. Like it's super exciting to stand back and watch what each of you are doing, and you'll continue with that work taking
Yes.
it out into the world, like with your own truth and your own story and your own unique gifts.
Yes.
So, and I'm super excited to be part of that process too, of like, it's kind of, and that's like my own story. That's motivating me to step into, like, because I've never written anything before. I mean, I've written a lot of stuff, but I've not actually been part of a book before. So that you have been a motivation and inspiration for me to step into that mode of communication and sharing that had not historically in that type of form that I've done. So thank you for like that inspiration to step into that part of my journey, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and that's another thing this program has done for me is made me realize that um, that writing is something that one heals me,
Mm-hmm.
um, and two that I do have a pretty strong voice, and I have a good story, but a healing story that is powerful, and sharing that with other women will help them along the way too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be an incredible book when everybody comes together and shares their story and uh,
Mm-hmm.
joins hands.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to be part of the process, and everybody else that is meant to be part of it,
Right.
bring them in.
Yep. We're
So,
still inviting. We're looking. I mean, up to 20 more ladies. So, and the other thing is sometimes we don't really know like what we're feeling or what we're thinking until we either speak it or write it. And that
mhm,
is so powerful too if you just sit down and write your story out. And you
mhm,
may not even think you have a story, and then when you sit down and you're like, "I've been through some stuff," right? And look what I've survived, and look how much stronger I am because I've been through whatever it is.
yeah. Well, you know, I am a firm believer in this, and I know you are too, that everybody has a story.
Absolutely.
Everybody has a story. Everybody has a truth that only they're meant to speak because it's their story and it's their truth,
Right?
right? So you have yours, I have mine. Every single person that you talk to has a story. And I think part of this is also like inspiring other people to step into using their voice to actually share their story. And that is going to help inspire other people that you're meant to serve and teach
Right.
and motivate them in their healing journey. Right. Because yeah, I mean, I could talk for an hour about that. I could, you know how like I am obsessed with like getting people to step into using their voice and being inspired to share their story, like,
Right?
and feeling comfortable with that. And part of that process is releasing, right? You got to release and to be able to step into that like leadership role or step into like just using your voice, like speaking your truth, feeling it, healing it, name it to claim it, all those things. But you have to start somewhere,
Right.
right? It's baby steps.
Well, and even if everyone in the book wrote about, I don't know, domestic violence, say, as an example, your story is still different than 50 other women's stories, and your healing journey looks different. But
Mhm.
pieces and parts of it may relate or resonate with other women that, and they can pull from here and they can pull from there, and that works for them. And
Mhm.
that can be so empowering.
Yeah, that would be amazing, and I am super excited to see how that's all gonna
I am.
play out. Okay, so tell everyone as far as one more time, like just a little mini snippet of if someone's thinking about getting on and doing a yoga psychology discovery call, or we're even calling some of these like stress resilience or emotional resilience calls, like what would you tell those people that are kind of thinking about it and they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to be getting on the phone with Jenny for 30 minutes, I'm scared. Like, what would you tell that person?
Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Just, if it's something you're thinking about, the more information you can gather, about your journey and people that can help you, then the better off you are. And if you don't resonate with them, then maybe you can recommend somebody that will. Even though I have a hard time believing that, they won't feel warm and comfortable just speaking with you. It's just an easy thing to do. Just jump in with both feet. And the journey it's hard. It's to excavate your entire soul and all you've been through in your life. But speaking to Jenny about it and knowing that you're held and you have space, and Jenny has the knowledge and can really just help you get in there and do what it is that you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. And I love the idea. Um, I've used the term like inner work as kind of a general term, and you hear that a lot, the inner work.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that talk about it. And then there's shadow work, and that's another piece of yoga psychology.
Yes.
But a term that I've been using, which is really interesting, that Anita actually mentioned when we did our interview, was soul work. And to me, that's what this is soul work.
Right. Right.
Because you are, again, releasing the things that are no longer serving you. You are healing the heart. You are healing the heart, the soul. The Atman is what we call it in yoga and Sanskrit, but it is your soul. It is your light. It is your spirit. And it is a huge part of the healing process,
Yes.
is to be able to unblock what we call the heart chakra, the anahata in yoga. But underneath all of that is your soul, right? And it is unique to you. And it's interesting because we had another program called Spiritual Warrior and WiseMind Spiritual Warrior. And you were with me and part of this process of like me naming this. Like
Right.
I kept going back and forth about what I was going to name it. And soul just kept coming to me over and over and over again. And you know that I'm a firm believer in like prayer and meditation and intuitively, what is the spiritual download that's happening,
Right.
to be able to
Those
hear
little
that.
nudges here and there, right?
Yes. And like you said, with you, with the soul shine and the soul confetti, that spoke to you as well. And I
Right.
can tell you a huge part of that in my own journey around yoga has also been a spiritual journey. And it has been, like a prayer on my mat. And I love to call it like praying with your mind, body, and your soul, because that is part of what brought me to yoga. In addition to depression and anxiety and all the things I was having from a mental health perspective, I was spiritually broken as well.
Right.
And I needed to heal my heart and heal my soul that had been buried in all these different layers of me losing my identity, of all the hurts and the wounds that had built up over the years
Right.
that I needed to heal. And when I stepped onto my yoga mat, that was part of my journey, but there was always a higher power aspect to it. It was never about just the asana practice for me.
Right.
It was always coming from a deeper connection. And, I remember like researching different types of yoga and what we considered like God-centered yoga,
Right.
and like not even knowing that was even out there. And then realizing that it's already out there. Like there are people that have already integrated God and yoga.
Right.
And so that is one of the many areas, like in addition to traditional, which I will continue to teach. I'm going to continue to teach sadhanas and mantras and all the things that I already teach. But in addition to that, one of the things we are bringing into this is we will be bringing in more what I call sacred soul flows and soul-based and more spiritual based yoga and meditations and prayer. And that will be part of what we're going to be integrating in. It won't be required as part of certification, but it will be like a bonus in addition for the people that are feeling called or drawn to that type of yoga. So I just wanted to share that because, again, that's been something that's been in my soul and been part of my journey for over 6 years.
Right.
And I've taught that style of yoga for years. So that's part of what I'm feeling called to do in 2022 is to do more of that type of yoga. And so that's why we're doing the retreat that we're doing in the spring at Lake Junaluska.
Right.
It will be a praying with the mind, body, and soul. And we will be integrating more spiritual connection and singing. And, it's kind of like me taking like my years of church camp and yoga teacher training and like spiritual awakening and like putting it all together
Right.
into
It's
one
so
practice.
beautiful.
So,
I'm so looking forward to that because that's kind of where I am right now too.
yeah. So if you are listening to this or you're listening to the replay and you're feeling called into going into something that is more spiritually, you're wanting to go deeper into your healing journey, but connecting to a higher power, connecting to God, connecting to like a deeper spiritual awakening, then I'm calling you right now, if you're listening to this, to set up a call with me and have a conversation. Because
Yes.
we need more of those women that
Yes.
are feeling called, that are ready to step into their transformation and their healing, and also that are ready to serve, in the world, and they want to also help heal the world.
Yes.
But in order to help heal the world, you have to heal yourself first. You have to
Absolutely.
go through the transformation yourself first.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you right now if I wouldn't have done the years of training and
Your own
healing
work. Yeah.
modalities that I've done. So we want to be able to teach you like these holistic mental health modalities. Okay. We want to be able to teach you stress resilience and emotional resilience. But the biggest part is like that spiritual GPS and tuning into your intuition and your wisdom and your discernment, and to be able to quiet your voice in your mind so you can actually start to hear it.
Right.
And then we're going to invite you to actually do it. Take what we call aligned soul-based action. Soul-based aligned action that is with a purpose.
Right.
And you're feeling called to do it, right? Because you're meant to do it.
Yes.
That's your story and that's your truth. And you're feeling called. So again, I invite you, if this is resonating with you and you're feeling it, if you can feel this right now, because I can feel it, then, do a consultation and find us. I'm going to put the
Yeah.
website.
Nothing to lose, right?
No, I mean,
30 minutes, it's free. It's talking to someone who is open and honest and caring and welcoming and
I'm going to give you like like you said, a big virtual hug.
right.
And I promise, I'm not like somebody who's going to push someone who's not ready. Like I've already said, we need people that are ready to step into this. And
Right.
you'll know if you're ready because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel called.
Right.
You're going to show up. So,
You'll feel it in your gut and your heart.
yes. So I'm going to put this out one more time. WiseMindSoulWarrior.com. You can book a call from there. Or you can book through the calendly.com/WiseMindYoga. So one last thing, Carrie, is the last question I'm going to ask you. If somebody's out there and so we've talked about the consultation, but if they're considering exploring WiseMind Soul Warrior, what would you tell that person? What would you recommend to that person?
That they just need to listen to themselves and see if they're ready to dig out their soul, to excavate all those layers and really step into who you are and who you're meant to be, and just be open to being guided through the process and being open to being vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
and learning. And that's what I've done over the past 2 years. Is just excavated all the sludge is what I've been calling it lately, that has built up around me and inside my heart. and really just being vulnerable and open to all the ways that work for healing um, and can really change your life.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
time. No time like the present, right?
it is time. Yeah. It's like we are in a time such as this, right? Like there's a reason why you're alive and you're in your healing journey where you are, and I'm alive. And anyone like that is here right now, like there's a reason.
Absolutely.
There's a reason. There's a purpose, and each and every one of us has a purpose. So it's our job being on this earth is to figure out what is that purpose, what is that assignment, and to try to live it. So figure out your gifts,
Right.
your healing, and show up in the world because we certainly need you right now. Every single healer, teacher, yoga teacher, whatever form that is for you, a coach, whatever it is, like a mom, we need everybody showing up right now.
Right.
And we need people to be in their full light and to be
living
open.
their soul's purpose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And believe me, we need it now more than we ever did. I mean, I've talked about this for years, but in what we're in right now, we need as many people as possible like living their purpose, because people really need each and every person right now. And I will say this too, like from a teacher perspective, there's so many different forms of being a teacher. And whether you teach somebody about, spiritual awakening, or you teach someone about different intentions or sankopas, or you teach about yoga psychology, or you teach about breath work or meditation or prayer or mindfulness or cognitive behavioral change, like there's so many things that you can teach beyond just a physical asana yoga practice.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I invite you, if any of this resonates with you or you feel called on any of these things, that you don't have to be a traditional yoga teacher to be a teacher or to be a yoga teacher. You can teach breath work or meditation or mindfulness and still be considered a teacher or a yoga teacher.
Right.
So if you're feeling, like, oh, I can't do headstands, or I'm not super flexible, or I've not done a lot of yoga, or I don't want you to shy away from it, because the most important thing is that it's your personal development and your healing and transformation journey. And that's really the bottom line.
And even if you share this with one person in your life, that you can change their perspective, then you've done something huge.
Right. And you've created a ripple effect, right? Like you said, even if you're in your own family, right? Even if you're a mom and you want to do this for intergenerational healing and family of origin healing in your own family and heal the wounds and the trauma that's been passed down over generations, would be a huge ripple effect, because it's not just affecting you, but future generations.
Right.
And I know that for me and for you both as moms was definitely a huge inspiration and motivation for me to do this work that I've done.
Yes.
It was for my teenage daughter.
Yes.
And hopefully someday my grandkids.
Yeah, and it helps communication with them, and just helps me also see like their perspective too, and not just be like, no, I'm the mom and this is how it is. Yeah.
Right. Like the respect and seeing them and hearing them and validating them.
Right.
And being able to pause, and have more patience and all those things.
All those things.
And I know Anita and other moms in the group have talked about that too. Like just the changes they've seen as a mom, to be able to have that patience and to be able to have that pause.
Yes.
And to not react is huge.
It is.
So, okay, lady. Well, I want to say that I am so, so, so grateful that you took the time and energy to be here on the call today. I know you are not feeling the greatest. I'm glad you're well enough to be here. So thank you for taking the time and energy, and also for your support. Means so, so much to me. Like I can't even put it to words. So thank you so much. Gratitude for you taking the time and energy to be here today, because I know you're super busy. I know you have a lot of things that you're doing. So I honor you. Kudos, like, for taking your time and being generous enough to share it with me and everybody else who's going to hear about your story and your transformation. And hopefully this will help with the Soul Shine collaborative book, and people hearing about your Soul Confetti book and the Self program and the Rewild program and all the things that you have, the amazing work that you're doing right now in the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
You've definitely been an inspiration to that.
oh, thank you. Well, you inspire me as well, right? We're all just lifting each other up and supporting each other.
Right.
So
That's what it's all about.
yep, we want the soul shine happening, right? We want your soul to shine and everybody else's
Right.
soul to shine. That's pretty much it, right? Because my soul shine doesn't take away your soul shine, because they're each unique.
Absolutely.
So we're not taking from each other, right? Which is kind of the
Makes
normal.
the world shine brighter.
Exactly. Because like you said, too many women for too long have felt like somebody else's shine is taking away from theirs.
Right.
It's
Or
not.
is more important than theirs.
Yes.
Right. But it's not.
And that's not the case, as you know.
No.
Right? Because my unique gifts and my unique story and my unique dharma and purpose and assignment is completely different from you,
Yes.
anybody else.
Yes.
So there is no comparison when you look at it that way, that we are each 100% unique. There is
Absolutely.
nobody else like us in the world. So how could you possibly compare yourself to anybody else? Because there is nobody else like you or me or anyone else. So when you look at it that way and you start to change your mindset and your perspective and the lens that you see other women through, then that starts to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
So I am sending you like so much love, light, and blessing. Thank you again so much. And I am so excited to see what 2022 is going to bring in the training, but also with your books and with our collaborative books and the other things that you're working on. I'm just so honored to be part of your journey as well, and to stand back and watch the things that you're doing as well.
Thank you. I'll
You're
send you love.
welcome. Okay, lady. All right. Well, I'm sending you so much love and light, giving you virtual hugs, and I will see you soon.
Sounds great.
All right. Well, have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.